Hey couples, if every decision turns into the same fight, you are not alone. Join our live Stop Spinning, Start Deciding workshop on October 29th. In just 75 minutes, you'll learn a simple process to make decisions together without the blowups. Register now at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/decide. Stop arguing, start deciding together.
From Estero, Florida, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DiLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the HUG hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're talking about what happens when you find yourself saying, I don't know what to do to fix my marriage.
There's a quote attributed to Anonymous that says, most couples don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they were never taught how to succeed. And I think as we, spend time today on this question of I don't know what to do to fix my marriage, it really does get to that heart of, have you been taught? Do you know what it takes to succeed? And we're going to be talking about that in today's episode. But first, we start every episode with a hug. And a hug really, on this side of the microphones, a hug is an opportunity for us to celebrate you, to celebrate what you're doing in your marriage, to share how you are taking action. And this hug came from a 5-star review on Amazon for 6 Pillars of Intimacy, The Secret to an Extraordinary Marriage. And I saw this review, this hug on there, and thought, oh my gosh, it ties in so perfectly with this episode. It said, I am so thankful I took the time to read this book, as it truly helped me understand my role in our marriage much better than I ever realized. No one ever talked to me about marriage or what it could be like before I got married. I'm so thankful for this book.
Yeah. When we put that book out, gosh, it's almost 4 years now.
Almost 4 years.
Never thought it would reach and have so much impact. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a blessing. If you're new to the One Extraordinary Marriage show, the One family, we're honored and blessed to have you here.
Absolutely.
2, if you have not picked up the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, go pick it up. 6pillarsofintimacy.com. It'll take you right to Amazon. Grab whatever format is best for you. But jump in. Mm-hmm. It's easy. We wrote this book, and Elisa wrote this book in particular, so that way it's practical. You can use it. The framework works, and you can move on, and you can strengthen your marriage. So go grab that if you haven't.
I was in the middle of a coaching session last week when the husband that I was working with just simply looked at me and he said, I don't know what to do to fix my marriage. And, here I am, I'm sitting across from him, and this thought goes through my head. I can't even quantify the number of times that I have heard that both from husbands and wives. Right? This isn't just something that men say about their marriage or that wives say about their marriage. I have heard it in coaching sessions when it's the two of them together or when it's just one person working on their marriage. And, it never, it always stops me in my tracks. Right? When someone is at that point where, the heart behind that is, I love my spouse. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what tools I need. I know that there are gaps, and I don't know how to bridge those gaps with the skills or the knowledge that I have. And that's really what it comes down to. And, I often think about the fact, because we've had this conversation with our kids over the years, like our kids, like so many, you're taught math and you're taught English and you've got the history lessons and things like that. But most of us don't grow up where we're getting formal training on how to handle conflict, right? Without blowing up or shutting down, or how to listen without interruptions, or how to connect with someone else when you're feeling super stressed and all you want to do is maybe lash out or retreat or things like those aren't the formal education skills that we are taught growing up. And then we get married to this person that is very different from us. And, we have the wedding and it looks beautiful, and there's the tuxedo and the dress and the cake and the colors and all of the kinds of things. And then after comes, and it's like, oh, okay, well, like I don't feel competent here. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And the after could be at 6 months. It could be at 6 years. It could be at 20 years. It could be at 30 years.
Heck, we've had people in 6 days tell us that.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten those emails.
Yes, we have.
And I was doing some research in preparation for this particular episode, and I came across this term that was coined by Peter McFadden. And he coined this phrase, marriage illiteracy. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because it was all about this idea that the problems aren't about like one spouse or another being, bad or the problem. It's like not having the right tools or the right skill set. I just want to unpack this definition for a second, because literacy by definition is competence or knowledge in a certain area or a specified area. Marriage illiteracy is not having competence or knowledge in a specific area of marriage. And I think if we, so often we're empowered by the fact that if there's a term for what's going on, now we can take action to like, oh, okay, like I'm just marriage illiterate. There are areas, maybe it's communication illiterate, maybe it's, trust illiterate, but we can step into this place of going, oh, I know where the situation is. I know where this gap is. And I don't have to keep uttering phrases like, I don't know what to say to my spouse, right? Or I don't know how to bring up sex without a fight. That's a big one I hear in coaching. Or I don't know what to do to rebuild trust after we've hurt each other. And so many people, they fall into this place not understanding that there's just a lack of confidence, but they fall into this place of going, I'm a failure. I don't know what to do to fix this. And so there must be something wrong with me, instead of saying, hold up, what if there's just a knowledge gap? And I'll tell you, like many early years in our marriage, around sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, financial intimacy, I will tell you, we were straight up, there was zero literacy in those areas. And I can think of early days of trying, like, and not even so early days, like recorded in this podcast of financial illiteracy. Like, how do we handle our finances, first of all, and how do we talk about them? This episode, literally from episode 1, has documented so many different areas where we had sexual illiteracy. Like, we did not have confidence in this area of sexual intimacy in our marriage. Mm-hmm. Right? And there were times when we felt very defeated.
Yeah. And one of the things I think is Elisa is saying this, and it just has struck me, is that in these seasons, we can feel like failures. Mm-hmm. We individually can feel like, well, I have been trying this, or I've been trying to do that, and I am gaining knowledge here, and yet my spouse isn't. Or it could be the other way around. And so one of the things I think in hindsight, right, 29 years of marriage here, is that some of these seasons can last a little bit longer than we like. One of the things I wish I would have done, and I'm doing much better now, and I'm getting better at it, is going to prayer. And I'm not saying that's the only thing you do, because I sat even down with my pastor yesterday, and then, if we read the word, it's like prayer, like pray fervently. And yet we still need to move in action. We need to do something. And so I say that because too often in our society today, we are led to believe if the fix doesn't happen quick enough, then we must disregard, move on. And I don't think that's the way marriage is. I do believe you need to get help sooner than later. I do believe you shouldn't wait 6 years before you get help, because by that point in time, typically the average marriage is pretty much done. That's statistically have been shown. Gottman has done studies around this. I do think you need to move quicker. And yet when I look at this and I hear this, I'm like, oh man, maybe we're just in that season. And Elisa and I have been there too, even recently with her going through perimenopause. And how does this affect us? And I see moments in times where it's like, I don't think we're on the same page. I don't know what to do with her or with me in this moment in time. More times with her, and I say that jokingly. Please hear that, haha.
I can see the 1-star reviews coming in right now. And Tony said, I don't know what to do with her. It's okay, people.
It's okay.
Like we can joke about that.
We can. And yet, in this, and I want to say that this isn't like something that happened 10 years ago. This is like the recent past.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing, though, the marriage, like she said, the marriage illiteracy, I think Elise and I have been able to understand that we are illiterate in some places and times.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? When perimenopause and andropause and all those things start to hit you in your late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, you got to better believe there's some marriage illiteracy happening right there that we need to learn, and we need to shore up our own marriage. And so seasons are going to happen, and it doesn't mean you're a failure if you're unable to fix your marriage quickly in the most efficient amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And, this is a hard episode to talk about, because this idea of being illiterate and something of not having competence is something that I think most people try and shy away from. If you look at social media, if you look at, movies and things like that, we all want to look like we've got it all together, right? Our marriages are going great. We put up these facades, and yet behind it, you start going, wait a minute, what is the foundation built on here? Right? And I can see this because I did the search. I'm like, what do people search for when, they start thinking about their marriage? Like, I don't know what to, or I don't know how to. And how do I improve communication in my marriage is actually, I saw this on a number of different sites, recognized as one of the most searched relationship questions. Communication. What do I say?
Emotional intimacy.
When do I say it? How do I say it? How do I rebuild trust after infidelity? That's a big one. What do I do? What are the actions to rebuild trust? Like some of the ones, how do we stop fighting about money? Or, variations on like, I don't know what to do in my marriage. My marriage is falling. What do I do? Like there are all of these questions that really get to the heart of we are lacking skills, whether it's questions about communication or about sexual intimacy, financial intimacy, everyday logistics, like everywhere there are these questions. And you can get into this place of searching 1,000 different search terms on Google, listening to 1,000,000 different podcasts. And it comes down to, I don't feel equipped. Like at the end of the day, all of that searching is because there are tools or strategies that you don't have in your marriage toolbox to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And I just want to say right now, marriage illiteracy is not a character flaw. It does not mean you're broken. It is not a label of failure. It is actually a neon sign saying, what are we going to do about it? What are the skills that we need? What is the skill gap that we have? And what am I going to do about it? Right? It's the whole, what can I do? When I recognize that there is a gap in my knowledge and my skill set. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. I've been seeing Jones Road Beauty everywhere for years, and I'm so excited to finally try it. As a busy wife, I'm all about simplicity, especially when it comes to my face. I want to look good, and I want to be able to achieve that in a short amount of time. I can do the multiple steps, but having the ability to put my face on in 60 seconds, that's awesome. Plus, I love just being able to get up and go with a face that feels so put together. Their Miracle Balm can replace my highlighter, bronzer, blush, and lip tint. One product, multiple uses, yes, please. Plus, Jones Road's formulas are actually good for your skin, packed with nourishing ingredients and no harsh chemicals. Modern day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a free Cool Gloss on their first purchase when they use code OEM at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use code OEM at checkout. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Elisa here. Can we talk about skincare for a minute? As I've gotten older, I realized I don't want my beauty routine getting more complicated. Between work, marriage, and everything else that life throws at us, I don't necessarily have time for a 10-step regimen. That's why I love Go Pure Neck Cream. It's literally one product that does exactly what it promises, makes my neck and chest look amazing. I used to think I needed multiple serums, treatments, and creams to address the aging I was seeing on my neck, but Go Pure simplified everything. One step, morning and night, and my skin looks smoother and more youthful. What really sold me was how effortless it is. Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones, and Go Pure is proof of that. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off GoPure with code MARRIAGE at checkout. Just head to gopure.com, use code MARRIAGE, and you're all set. And after you buy, do us a favor. When they ask where you heard about GoPure, tell them it was from our show. We're back. And we've been spending some time kind of sitting in this uncomfortable place of, I don't know what to do to fix my marriage. And it is an uncomfortable place. You know, like Tony said, this whole perimenopause journey that we've been on.
And on the other side of that though too, is my hormone levels dropping as well, right? So it's not just a you thing. It is a on my side there have been changes as well that I've had to address and look at, from hormonal to brain fog to lack of energy to all of it, right? I mean,
well, and then we've got this super cute little thing going on right now where Tony's right elbow and arm and my left elbow or shoulder are all doing things, and we happen to sleep his right arm to my left arm. That's how we lay in the bed. And so, you know, like you just have these instances where you're like, okay, what do we do to fix this, right? Like, how do we step into this place of saying the situation right now isn't what we want it to be, right? What are we going to do? And the first thing is you've got to acknowledge that there's a gap. And I say that there's a gap because so many people are quick, especially in marriage, especially with their spouse, to point out the problem. The problem is you. The problem is the way you're acting. The problem is whatever. And usually it's with a pointed finger and a you statement attached to it. If we bring it back to, hey, there's a gap in our communication. There's a gap in how we express our emotions. There's a gap in how the two of us are handling our sexual intimacy. Just sometimes changing one word, people can change the entire tenor of the conversation, right? If we're talking about a gap between us, as opposed to you being the problem, I would much rather work on there's a gap between, you know, whether it's sexual frequency or, you know, how we're communicating or whatever. That's a much softer approach for me. My defensiveness is going to go way down than if Tony's like, you're not initiating enough. And I'm like, well, you know what? I don't really feel inclined to right now.
If you want to talk about that, by all means, we can talk about that at some point in time.
And a future episode right there. Again, the desire has tanked with the hormones and everything else. We're not going to weave that in.
I'm not saying we're weaving it in right now.
Okay.
I'm just saying
yeah.
there's a gap, and it is a.
It's been noticeable lately.
I'm just glad you brought it up, I'm just pointing that out. That if you want to have that conversation, I am more than happy to address that and discuss that with you. That's all I'm saying.
Perfect. Maybe we'll do it as an exclusive episode in Intimacy Mastery or something like that down the road.
There we go.
But when you acknowledge the gap, what you're saying is there's this distance, right? Or we weren't taught this, or we don't have the skills for this season that we're in. And so now we can go after, well, what do we need to do? Mm-hmm. Right? But again, it's coming into a place of acknowledgement first and foremost, and it's not sticking your finger in somebody's face, and it's not starting the sentence with a you statement. Then you need to find a framework that's going to work for the two of you. That doesn't mean try 27 different frameworks, because some of you like to bombard your spouse with the framework of the week, the strategy of the week. I applaud your efforts and everything that you are doing to find something that's going to work. But if you only stick with it for like 3.5 days and then it doesn't work and you throw it out and you're on to the next one, you two never know if something's actually going to work. The intimacy lifestyle didn't work in our marriage because we tried it for a week.
And just so those of you who are newer and not sure what that means, intimacy lifestyle, that is how we set up scheduling sex. So we call it the intimacy lifestyle, and that is how we have for the last 18 years have been sexually intimate in our marriage and have scheduled sex for that.
16.
Yeah. 16?
Yeah, 2009.
16. Okay, 16.
I'm like, 18 feels really long. But it didn't work because we tried it for a week. it worked because we kept it up and we navigated it through hard seasons, and we kept coming back to it, right? The 6 pillars of intimacy, understanding that there's emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, recreational, and sexual intimacies, understanding that framework and applying it over your marriage isn't just a 1-week fix. It's a lifestyle of understanding, and so find a framework for the two of you that makes sense, that you can come back to, because when you have a framework, it's so much easier to say, hey, we're strong here right now. Let's high five each other. And this area's got some gaps and we need some resources, some skills, some training in this area. But it gives you a place to start.
Yeah. The reason we love the 6 pillars of intimacy, it isn't because we wrote it. It's because it's the heart of the one family. This isn't a book that we wrote because we were on the mountaintop and we're like, we need to have this and we need to give it to all marriages. No, it came from you, the one family, from listening to you, from hearing from you, from your messages to being in person with you. So we know this works. And the beautiful part of the 6 pillars of intimacy, it's not only about sex. A lot of people will look at it and go, this is just about sex, and it's not. Intimacy is closeness and connection. And then you have all 6. And what the beauty is, you can take any of those 6, find the crack that you have or cracks that you have, and you can find other resources that we have, or maybe other marriage educators or financial gurus or spiritual leaders have. And you use what they are giving you and sharing with you to strengthen these pillars of intimacy. Elise and I will be the first to tell you that probably the weakest one for us sharing around and teaching around is probably financial intimacy. We've done well in our own finances over the years. We shared recently that we purchased our first home in however many years since the Great Recession, and we lost our home, so 15 years ago. So we've had our ups and downs with finances, but it's the one where we're weakest at. And so when people come to us or couples come to us, we point them towards other resources, other areas where they can go, oh, we have cracks in our financial intimacy, and yet we can go over here and strengthen it. Because everybody's in different places and stages of life and what they need to do with their financial intimacy. And so that's why the 6 pillars has become such a profound framework for so many couples here in the United States and around the world.
So again, when you are in this place of, I don't know what to do to fix my marriage, you start with acknowledging the gap. You find a framework that makes sense. You start with one skill, right? One of the challenges that I see when people come to me for marriage coaching is they're like, well, we need to fix this. And this is like literally the whole enchilada. We need to address our sexual intimacy, and we need to address broken trust, and we need to talk, we need to learn how to talk to each other, and we don't date each other. And literally it could be all 6 pillars. And I said, great. We're going to start with one area. Why? Because you need to do the reps. You need to take time repeatedly. Like I often tell people, consistency is your best friend when you're trying to fix your marriage. It's not scattershot doing a lot of different things. It's doing one thing over and over again and getting really good at it. Maybe it's, having those conversations where you listen without interrupting, where you stop and you let your spouse finish their thought. That's a big one for a lot of people. Or you commit to, hey, we are going to engage in our recreational intimacy. We're going to do something fun at least once a month. And it happens. It may be, a card game sitting at your kitchen table after the kids go to bed, or it may be, a weekend hike, but you've got this commitment to doing something regularly, and you do it over and over again. As you're doing that, I want to encourage you in this process, replace the shame with curiosity, because a lot of people will take on this burden of shame of, I don't know what to, there must be something wrong with me. And I want to say, get curious, not just about what's going on with your spouse, but get curious about those marriages in your world that look like they are doing marriage well. Make friends with those people. Find couples a decade ahead of you, 2 decades ahead of you. Tony and I recently attended a marriage dinner at our church. Very unique experience. It's the first time ever in my married life that I was sitting at a table where Tony and I had been married the longest. That was a trip.
That was
a total trip. When did that happen? I mean, only by a year. There was a couple married 28 years, but it was close. Like we're going around at 29. But what was beautiful, and this happens every time Tony and I attend a marriage event, is that there are couples that have been married 35, 40, 45, 50 plus years in attendance. And what I would say is wherever you are in the marriage journey, get curious about those couples. Ask them about their tough seasons. Ask them how they have overcome challenges. Hear from couples that have done it, not just the Instagram, pretty picture, we're on vacation here, we're having this dinner here. Like, I'm not saying that that's not something to look at. But if you want to know how to do marriage well, if you want to bridge your gaps, if you want to become marriage literate, you've got to talk to people and hear from the people that have done it and have done it longer than you.
It's interesting you bring that up because I've had like visions of us since moving to Southwest Florida in particular, but interviewing these couples.
Oh, wow.
These ones that have been married 30, 40, 50 years and maybe even beyond, if we could find those who have been married 60 years.
I believe they are here in Florida.
And I don't know why that is, but since being here, I've even had that curiosity of like, man, well, what's it like? I even think about mom and dad, your parents. What's that? What's that like? I mean, they've been married, 54 years now?
How old am I? 51, 53.
53 years. And I think about that though. And I mean, we're at 29 and I'm like, man, 29, look at us go. But then I go, whoa, what's it like at 40? Like, what are you doing at 40 years that still, like, that you're still doing together, that you love one another? And I'm not saying, hey, we're just moseying through and we're just dealing with this because it's the old ball and chain type stuff. I want to talk to those who are like vibrant, excited, have strength in their marriage. They're doing life, and you just bringing that up just makes me wonder, like, what would those interviews be like, and not just for us, but even for them, because I think so many have not been able to share the ups and downs. Like maybe they've shared it a little bit, but for them to share it and to experience that again, I would love to see the twinkle in their eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I do, because it makes me think, again, and just a slight digression here, because I don't think enough is made of gleaning wisdom from those that have, gone before us. Right, who have done this thing longer. And it makes me think, last year on the Six Pillars at Sea Marriage Getaway, we had those couples married 40, 45, and 50 years. And the way that everybody else engaged with them to just get to know their story. And these were couples, I will tell you, one, just a super joy to have
They're
on the trip.
They're putting us to shame. I'm sorry.
But
adventure-wise, man.
Their joy.
Oh, joy was, yes.
Their joy in their marriage and in their spouse was contagious. And that's why I'm saying you need to find those people. You need to seek them out, because as they have an opportunity to pour into your life, and so many of them, I believe if people are still happily married in their like 40, 50 plus years, they want to share that. Because they want other people. They see what's happening in the world and they want others to have great marriages. They want, they want that to be a thing. It's why in the movie When Harry Met Sally, and they have all the couples being it's like that kind of thing, right? Like I want to pour this wisdom, because when you get into this place where you've been acknowledging the gap, where you're finding a framework, where you're starting with skills, where you're in this place of curiosity, then you get to start celebrating progress. Right? Baby steps. And it might just be like, hey, we had that conversation that like we both walked away and we weren't screaming or slamming doors. Hey, high five. That's a good thing. Or you initiated, I'm going to bring it up again. You initiated sex tonight and I wasn't expecting you to. High five. Right? Or, we didn't retreat when we normally retreat. Whatever it is, celebrate. Married couples do not celebrate enough. And I honestly believe that if we started celebrating and expressing gratitude in our marriage, we could fix a whole lot more things than we realize. It's simply changing that mindset to go, where am I going to find the good? And how am I going to acknowledge that with my spouse?
Yeah. As you look at this week, does it mean that your marriage is crumbling and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do to fix my marriage because it's crumbling? there just may be a crack, even a small crack in one of your pillars of intimacy that has just been shown. It's just been revealed to you. And I love what Elisa shared early on in this episode about the marriage illiteracy. And maybe that's just where you are right now. You're at a place where you're like, I don't know what to do. We haven't walked this out together, which makes sense because as we get older and things change and we are facing new challenges, we probably don't know what to do in that moment in time just yet. But we can become illiterate through what Elisa shared here today. And so no matter where you may be, I challenge you this week to look at your 6 pillars of intimacy, look at the framework, look at each of the pillars, and determine which one needs your attention. Because if we can determine which one needs your attention, then you can go through the process of figuring out the skills, tools needed, resources needed to strengthen that pillar. So go out there this week, make it happen. And lastly, love on your spouse. Just give them a hug. Whatever may be going on right now, it may be tough right now. Like something may be going on, like maybe nothing's been really going on in your marriage. But maybe this is the week that you just reach out your hand to your spouse. Maybe give them a hug. Maybe give them a kiss. And just tell them you love them. Just tell them you love them. And with that, we are truly honored and blessed to have you part of the One family. You make our lives richer in many, many ways. And so with that, love you guys. Have a great week. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.